What's good? Willie Worldwide, back again, doing a little post-tour Q&A. If you missed my Instagram post, I put up a post asking for questions about the tour, and we got a lot of them. And when I say we, I mean me. I got a lot of great questions, and I also wanted to give my own prompts as well. So I'm going to start with my own questions, and they are top 5 shows of the tour, biggest surprise, highest moment, lowest moment, most grueling moment, and the funniest moment. And after that, we're going to get to your guys' questions. And again, you guys submitted a lot of them and a lot of good questions. So I'm excited, man. And again, if you're new here, I just got off a 45-city tour that lasted the whole year from January to December. It was my first headlining tour, and it was the most unbelievable year of my life. So I'm excited to talk about it and kind of close the chapter on this as we begin the new year. Happy New Year, by the way. And then I can, start a whole new tour, whole new thing. Pretty exciting. Top 5 shows. And this is not just the most tickets I sold. It's more, I would say the tickets sold as well as how I felt about the show. How the crowd was, how the material went, how the crowd work went, how I just felt physically, just all of many different factors, right? And these are not really in any particular order, but I think number 1 will have to be, maybe I should start at the bottom. No, I'll start at the top. Start from the bottom. Now at the top already. First one's going to be Zany's Chicago, the Wednesday show. I did a Tuesday and a Wednesday, and the Wednesday sold out. Tuesday almost did, but the Wednesday sold out. And that show was just electric, honestly. And I think it was, not a lot of people know this, but I actually started my stand-up career in Chicago. Not a lot of people know that. My senior year of college, I did my first year of stand-up while I was in Chicago finishing school, and then I moved right to LA. But again, Chicago holds a special place in my heart. I lived there for 4 years, and again, that's where I technically started comedy. And so to go back there and sell out the very, very famous Zany's Club was amazing. So the fact that I sold it out and the show itself was one of my strongest sets of the tour. There was some really fun crowd work moments. That's where the frat couple guy, that's where that clip was from. And just the show itself was just a banger. And I remember going off stage being like, yep, that was, I think, the best one. And I don't think it's been topped. The next 4 are going to be in no particular order. San Jose Improv. That was an amazing show. That was the one where my dad was there for it. And I sold way more tickets than I was expecting. It's basically a theater. And I think I just sold so many tickets, and I was a little nervous to do crowd work because it's a theater. There's a balcony. It's like 300 here and then another 150 up top. Didn't get to the top, but I filled the whole bottom, and I was worried about doing crowd work because I didn't know if it was going to feel too removed. Like if I was talking to someone right here, I wasn't sure if someone way in the back was going to, feel disconnected from that moment. But legitimately, everyone I talked to was like funny and legitimately almost clip worthy. Like the 3 or 4 interactions I had, they were so strong and the people were so cool. It was one of those just magical sets where everything just worked. The material worked great. I felt super comfortable and happy with myself, and it was a huge moment for me. That's grew up in the Bay, San Jose Improv. It's a big club for me. So the fact that I did it and it went that well, top one for me. I'm going to get through these a little quicker. Laughs Seattle. I went to Seattle and did a couple of Just Us shows, the indie shows on a Saturday, and those both sold out very quickly. And then I added a Thursday show at an actual comedy club that seats like 190, and that sold out. That was amazing. Just the fact that I already had sold, maybe I think it was like 120 tickets, and then I was like, I'll put up a Thursday, maybe I'll sell another 30, 40 tickets. And then it sold 190 and sold out. And the show was another just electric show. I had just recently discovered a new joke that I kind of opened with, and also, it was a theme throughout the set. It was just the time where the set was really starting to come together, and the crowd just rocked. Next, I would say the Kansas City Improv. Again, didn't expect much from that place, but that show was packed, and it was so much fun. I was one of the most beat up I've been. I looked haggard. I was tired, but the show was phenomenal. I loved the crowd work moments. It was just... I've talked about it before. It was just a great show from top to bottom. I was super, super happy with it. And then I would say one of my New York shows at New York Comedy Club, or not New York Comedy Club, I'm sorry, Stand Up New York. That's where I did. It was a smaller venue. It was on a Friday night, and there was 2 shows, 8 p.m. and a 10 p.m., and the 10 p.m. was fucking unbelievable. Dude, they were on fire in that show, and I had an absolute blast. Just such a small, intimate venue packed out. When you really hit a banger, woo! The best. A couple honorable mentions. Addison Improv in Dallas. That's one of my favorite clubs in the entire universe, and the show is so fun. Ontario Improv, didn't expect much. The crowd rocked. Love that club. And also one of my LA shows, I did at Haha Comedy Club, the 8 p.m. They both sold out, but the 8 p.m. was just so electric, and that's the club I basically started at in LA. So the fact that I sold it out and the show was that fun, such a great memory. It was funny, like I've been going to that club for so long, and the one of the waitresses was like surprised at how many tickets I sold. She was like, "What are you, famous or something?" I was like, I don't know. I still don't know. Biggest surprise of the tour, I'd say how physical it can be doing that much time on stage. At the beginning, when I would do these, hour-long sets or whatever, I legitimately felt super, super tired after, and like my voice was gone. And having to do 2 of them was not something I was used to. I was not used to being on stage for that long, that consistently, back to back. It took legitimately, like, the first 2 months, I was beat after these shows. And the more I did it, the more I got used to it. It's just like anything physical. You do it a bunch, you just get more used to it. But I remember in DC, one of the first shows, I did 3 shows in a night. Dude, I felt like I got hit by a goddamn semi-truck after. I couldn't even talk. I was sore. I mean, because look, when I'm on stage, I put in the effort. I don't just go there and phone it in. I'm not sitting on the stool just like, yeah, so what else should we talk about? I'm up there performing, man. Super surprised at how physical it was. And also a couple more surprises, how overwhelming the logistics are. Just having to coordinate everything myself, from the travel to the flights to the where we're going to eat, the timing of everything, all that was like very overwhelming, and I did not expect that. And also, maybe my favorite surprise, never got sick. Can you believe that? All those flights, all those hotels, all those random cities, meet and greets after every show, never got sick the whole year. I felt it coming on, slugged a bunch of tea, fought it off. Never got sick. I don't know what I attribute that to. I think I would say I prioritized sleep. I never took early flights, ever. I would get to a city late as shit, didn't care, no early flights. I slept great the whole time, for the most part. And also, I was mindful about what I put in my body. I wouldn't eat like an asshole every single day. When I could eat healthy, I would. Highest moment for me was, I'd say just the fact that I sold out any shows at all, especially comedy clubs. Like selling out Zany Chicago, selling out Laugh Boston, that was an amazing feat for me. To me, that doesn't get better. Selling out a comedy club is just the coolest, best feeling. Even regardless of even the show and how electric it can feel, just seeing on the website that it says sold out, that shit gets me going, dude. And that's my goal. My goal is, the peak for me is being able to put up any comedy club show and it be sold out. That's what I want to get to. And boy, does it feel good. Lowest moment, I'd say going from the summer to the fall. What I mean by that is the first half of the year, I went to a lot of major cities, a lot of big markets, big demand cities. And then the rest of the year, I kind of went to everywhere else. Kind of these mid markets, these lower markets, places that I don't have a huge demand in, right? Like a St. Louis, like a Columbus, like a Pittsburgh. Seeing the drop off in ticket sales was, stressful. Like, I was used to this momentum I had for the first half of the year in these big cities, just selling hundreds of tickets, and then I go to like a Raleigh and I sell 90, right? And then the next night I'm like, oh, Charlotte, that should be better, 95. It made me think. I was like, dude, is it over? Am I done? Did I peak? Am I already on the decline? Legitimately stressful for me, but I just learned that that's how it goes. Some markets you do better in, some you don't. But it was riding that wave that was a bit stressful at times. And it got back up. Boston was later in the year. The last Florida show at Dania was fire. So all part of the process, baby. Most grueling moment of the tour was mainly just there was this travel where it was end of October, early November, where I got back from Orlando on a Monday, and then I went to Mexico for a wedding on a Thursday. Then back from Mexico on Monday, leave for Omaha Tuesday. And that was just a grueling, brutal time that I remember being. That was when I almost got sick, and I fucking fought it off because I'm strong as shit. And that was brutal. I've talked about it before. You can see in the clips that I look just like beat up and haggard in the Orlando and Kansas City footage, which Orlando, that was the clip. If you go on my Instagram, it's called Fake Boyfriend. And the Kansas City one, that's the butt doctor one. You can see in those ones I'm looking a little beat up. So that was tough. That was the most grueling for sure. Funniest moment, I hope this will translate. So me and Anthony were somewhere, and Anthony Sturriddy, one of my openers, and I don't want to say where the club was, but we were somewhere. And the way it works at clubs is where you have the owner and the booker, and then the GM. The GM is at the club and handles the day-to-day process of everything, and so you mainly kick it and coordinate everything with the GM. And so we were dealing with this GM for the whole weekend. Let's call him Steve. And Steve was the man. He was so cool. He was joking around with us. The green room was like in his office, so we were kind of in the same space a lot of time, getting to know each other. Really good dude. And the owner, let's call him Tom, right? So Tom comes the last night, and we just thought it would be so funny if we were like, yeah, so, hey, Tom, nice to meet you. Yeah, Steve's been taking care of us, man. Steve's been doing a great job. And we thought it would be so funny if he was like, who? Who's Steve? Oh, you mean the popcorn guy? What do you mean he's been taking care of you? And dude, we just thought it'd be so funny if he came back, or not even that. Like he worked for the club, but he was just like a bartender. He was like, he comes back, he's like, hey, Steve wasn't in my office, was he? Right? He wasn't doing anything on my computer, wasn't talking to you guys at all, right? He was just behind the bar. And that didn't happen, but the thought of that was one of the hardest I've laughed the whole year. And yeah, man, let's do some of your submitted questions. These are really good. And I always get these a lot where people will be like, when are you coming back to this city? Or when are you coming to this city? If I went to a place last year, or actually this is for just anywhere or any time rather. If I go to a city, I won't go back to that city for at least another year. I like to do a year and maybe 2 months, something like that. Because when I come back, I want the show to be fresh. I want to have some new jokes for you guys. I want to have grown as a comic. Yeah, because there's a lot of cities that I can go to. So, if I just was there, it's going to be a little while. Dude, I was on the last podcast, I was getting comments like, when are you coming back to Florida? Bro, I just left. What do you mean, when am I coming back? It's going to be a while. But I just want to get that out there for, people asking, when are you coming back to the city? And when are you coming to Canada? I get that a lot. Working on Canada dates for this year. Should be there. International dates, people hit me up with those a lot. London, Amsterdam, places like that. Bro, I got to knock out the U.S. more first before I go international. Realistically, if I'm going to go anywhere internationally first, it's probably going to be London. If I'm being real. So, just want to get that out of the way. All right, here are you guys' questions, which are very good. What about the tour are you most proud of? I would say the Just Us concept from the beginning and the fact that it worked. And, the whole thing was a test to see if I could sell tickets, and the test worked. The concept worked. People, I think, gravitated to it. And it's the only thing where, and again, if you're new here, I essentially planned the first 3 months of the tour myself, where I hit up the venues, rented venues myself, sold the tickets, did everything on my own. So, and that was the only thing that I've ever done where the industry actually took notice. Meaning the Hollywood, the agents, the managers, the comedy clubs, just people actually finally noticed me. That's what I'm most proud of, is the fact that I built this whole thing myself and it worked. Best crowd work moment, I'd have to say the one with all the old people, the seniors on the loose is what their group is called. Not just because that clip went super viral, but I think that was just such a funny moment for me, the fact that I pulled up to this show in Florida and it was just all old people in the front who had no idea who I was. And instead of bombing or being weird about it, I talked to them for so long and kind of poked fun at them, and they were having a blast. And it was just one of the proudest moments for me, just because I was like, wow, if I can handle that situation, a bunch of old people that don't even know me, you can throw anything at me. And to have them enjoy it and be laughing, right? It'd be one thing if I was poking fun at them and everyone else in the crowd is laughing, but I got them to not take themselves so seriously and just laugh about this ridiculous situation. So I'm very proud of myself for that. So I'd say that would be my favorite. Random other one that I love is the clip I posted where it's called Royal Couple. It's where the woman goes like this because she saw a fly, and I thought that she was like, yes, I don't like this man. And I just went on this whole thing about it. And I love that clip, but I also just love that moment. It was the first night where I was at this club doing my first weekend ever. It was at the Comedy Castle in Royal Oak, Michigan. And it was just cool to have the first show go so well. Because I was this new headliner. They didn't even know who I was, you know. Well, they knew who I was, but they were like, they weren't like, oh, he's guaranteed to be great, right? So I just came out strong. And it was a really fun show, and I'm very proud of that. So, oddest heckle. Like, what's the oddest heckle you've gotten? Never really got heckled on the tour. I didn't really get, even in places like Naples where I didn't have a lot of my fans, people weren't heckling me. I think if anything, I have to say the woman scurrying to the stage to try to tie my shoes, that'd be obviously the number one thing, but I've talked about that way too much. That was the weirdest moment for sure. But I think just in general, people, drunk ladies yelling out, that's always annoying. So, but again, that's not really heckling. That's just not knowing how this works, how to be an audience member. Do you always get to do crowd work? When you don't, how often are people pushing you to? If it's my shows on the road, I do crowd work every time. But if I'm doing like a 10-minute spot in like LA or something, I'm not doing crowd work. I'm working on new jokes or honing the old ones, right? I've never felt really pushed to do crowd work because I'm just going to do it anyways. But some shows you definitely feel people's excitement when you're in the midst of it. You can feel them being like, "Oh, here's the thing we see on our phones while we're pooping." And when you transition out of it, you also sometimes I would feel the difference. People would kind of have to readjust to a thing that's not as exciting, not as like, whoa, we're sharing this moment together. Now it's just we're back to jokes. So yeah, I never felt pushed to do it, but I know you can feel that people get excited to do it. And I also had to learn where to put crowd work into my set. For example, Washington, D.C., those are my first few shows that I did, and I put the crowd work at the beginning. And people were so into the crowd work and they were so excited that I had trouble following it. Because if I did, let's say 10 minutes of crowd work and then I got to do the 30, 40 minutes of jokes, it's like people are almost waiting for me to get back into the crowd work. And so it was tough. You just felt the kind of they pull back a little bit. And so after that, I pretty quickly adjusted to, opening with 10 minutes of jokes, then do crowd work, then go back to jokes. Because that way, the beginning, you get to kind of train people like, hey, I'm doing jokes tonight. I'm not just fucking with y'all. We got jokes. And then we're going to do a little crowd work. It's not like you have to train the audience. Like, here's what's going to happen. Here's how this is going to go. But I had to learn that through trial and error. How do you prep for your gigs since you do a lot of funny crowd work? Thank you for saying that. Here's what's key is I feel like sometimes people come to these shows, my shows, and they think that I'm just going to be doing crowd work the whole time. Incorrect. I post crowd work online mostly because those moments can be thrown away. They'll never be replicated, as opposed to putting material up because I want you guys to still be surprised when you come see me and not know all my jokes. I'm very conscious about that. So again, if I'm doing an hour on stage, I'm only doing like 10 to 12 minutes of crowd work. And you're seeing some of my favorite moments online. That's how it works. So there's still so much preparation. Because this question is, how do you prep for your gigs since you do a lot of crowd work? There's so much preparation because it's mostly material. So it's mostly all preparation. I spend, practically every night when I'm off the road honing material and writing. So my whole life is essentially prepping for these shows. The prep comes in the off days basically. And oftentimes on the flights, I'll even be reordering my set, figuring out the best flow. I'm always working on things and always tooling with it. So the preparation continues all the time. And on this next tour, when I get back out there, I already have some new jokes that I want to do that I've been working on the last month or so. And, maybe restructure the set as well. So it's going to be different next time you see me, which is pretty exciting. Sorry about that. That was a little loud. I forgot how to drink water. It's not supposed to go in your lungs, right? It's supposed to go in your tummy. Forget sometimes. Worst town. I love this question. Dude, everywhere's the same. Everywhere I've been, you go to the airport, you take an Uber to the hotel, you go get food, you go to the show, you go back to the hotel, you go to the airport, you leave. Everywhere's the same. But the weather in Atlanta was dog shit. And so to me, I'd have to say Atlanta was the worst town only because of the weather. It was so hot that it was disgusting. Like, the show was hot. The venue, it was so hot that even the venue's AC was like, we're doing our best. Like, I addressed it during the show. I was like, yo, this is so hot in here. And then we left. As we're waiting for our Uber, it starts raining the hardest I've ever seen it rain. Out of nowhere. Like a movie set where they turn on the rain for a scene, and the director's like, too much. No one's going to believe that it's raining that hard. That's how hard it was raining. I got in the Uber. I'm not joking. I got into it, and I stepped in a puddle just from the last 10 minutes that was all the way up to my knees. My entire Nike shoe and my pant leg was submerged in water. That's how much it was raining. And boy, was I pissed. I've never had my entire shoe engulfed in water before. So I have to say Atlanta, but the show was fun, and the city seemed cool. But again, the weather was dog shit. Biggest takeaways from the tour: that I can sell tickets. And I have a fan base. That's the number one takeaway, man, because that my followers can equate to ticket sales. Because that's not a guarantee. Especially nowadays, man. Just because you got followers doesn't mean you're selling tickets. There's a Big Sean lyric, $1 million, million followers. That's not the same. The fact that I can just be a headliner also and feel like I can be put up against any other comic at my level and stand out, that's how I feel. And that's what I'm also a big takeaway, is that I can do this, but I can do this at a level where I feel like I can go up against anyone at my general level and stand out and do well. So I always knew I was a good comic, but how can I be a good headliner? That's a whole different muscle. And I feel like I really got good at it this year. San Diego was the first show. Do you have any good memories from that one? Absolutely, man. Since it was the first show, it was walking on stage was, to an entire room of my fans. That was only I think maybe the third time I'd ever done that. And the fact that I was doing 2 sold out shows, I was backstage in this little green room and I could hear everyone out there, and I'd kind of peek out the curtain and look. It was so exciting, dude. The first shows, oh my God, it was so exciting. And that was also that was logistically the hardest indie venue of those first few months. There was so much, dude, I had to redesign the whole lighting, the whole sound. The meet and greet was far away. You had to walk. You had to go come find me for the meet and greet, which I learned is horrible. And also, Kaylee was with me, my beautiful, sweet, lovely girlfriend. She was literally outside checking people in the freezing San Diego. Relax. Checking people in on Eventbrite on her phone, texting me 70 people are checked in, or 100 people are checked. It was just, yeah, that was a very, very special time. That first show was so exciting, man. Here we go. Random one here. Why haven't you posted any clips from the Minnesota show? Did a show in Minneapolis at look, man, it was a cool space, but it was not good for comedy. It was probably the worst lighting and the worst sound of any show of the tour. So to me, that was actually one of my least favorite shows of the tour. Not because the crowd was bad, but because the venue itself was just it wasn't what I wanted for the show. The people, this is not a knock on the people. If they hear this, the people were dope and it's a great space, but personally it was not my vibe. And yeah, I just didn't have any moments that I loved. The set felt like I was just like pulling teeth a little bit, and the crowd work felt kind of weird. It also bummed me out because like that was the first show that my sister has seen me at since I was like an open micer, and it was like my least favorite show. So that show is like, it makes me bummed to think about. So I really want to come back to Minneapolis and do it right next year. So I'm really going to try to, and do Acme Comedy Club. That would be the goal. And also there's you haven't seen any clips from that show, which is not that crazy because there's plenty of shows that I've not posted clips from. So it's nothing personal. Happens all the time. Like Pittsburgh, never posted clips from that show. Louisville, Omaha, plenty of places I haven't posted clips from. Nothing personal. Best worst walkout songs. So I walk out to the same song every show. The artist, his name is Mike. The song is called Rodman. That is my favorite song, my favorite artist other than Drake. That's the song I basically used as a theme through the whole tour, in the tour announcement video, in the Instagram video with all the cities. Same song. I just love the message of the song. There's literally lyrics that say "just us" in them, like it's just us. We don't need no one for nothing. So that's a very like meaningful song. Like it's my favorite song, and it's so meaningful if you listen to the lyrics. It's so accurate for what I was going through in my life. So yeah, that's why I come out to that song. Worst walkout song. This is a funny moment. So Nolan, my boy, who you guys have seen, I'm sure, he started opening for me in the fall, and in Raleigh, he came out to the Mortal Kombat theme song, the one that's like dun 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 dun, that one. And there's like 90 people in the room, and he walks out, and he is the energy of an arena show. Motherfucker is fist bumping, dun 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 dun, and people are not into it. Like, and he proceeds to have like an okay set. We've talked about this, so this is no surprise. He had like a fine set, and we were laughing so hard about it just because he went out so swinging so hard. People were like, what's this guy that kind of looks like Will doing? And so from here on out, I'm not joking, I pick Nolan's walkout songs for him because of that show. I'm like, no more. No more picking songs for you. I will pick your walkout songs. Next question here. Ever felt bad that you took a joke too far or felt it was in poor taste? Honestly, no. Me talking to the seniors in the front, that was close. I was worried that they were going to be offended by things I said, but they weren't. And I pride myself on not making people feel bad or taking it too far. Not my style. If you come to my show, I want you to feel happy and like you're having a good time. I don't want you to leave feeling bad or insecure. You paid to come see me. You probably got a babysitter. I've had people drag their first dates to my shows. Come on, man. I want you to have fun. So not really. Also, maybe the closest time I also came was when people are too chatty or they're chiming in, like telling them to politely shut the fuck up. That's a fine line that I've not figured out how to do because it's really annoying. But they're also my fans. So I'm like, shut up. Thank you for coming. Thank you. And also shut the fuck up. It's really hard to do. So maybe I've made people feel bad in those instances, but I've never told someone shut the fuck up. I've just had to you get what I'm trying to say. Worst thing about touring, flying and eating bad. That's about it. I don't mind chilling on flights. I'm very self-sufficient. I'm a serial podcast listener, but turbulence still makes me nervous. Don't know how. I took, probably 200 flights this year. Still get nervous when there's turbulence. So that sucks. And eating bad. Just, eating chicken tendies all the time and, burgers, whatever comedy club food. That's tough. Or when you get in, I don't take these early flights, so I get in really late and I have to get whatever food is available. So those are the two. Speaking of food, favorite food to have when you get home from tour? Sushi. I love this question. I always get sushi after I get back from the road because that's a cuisine and a taste that I have not experienced for days. I'm eating Starbucks sandwiches. I'm eating burgers. I'm eating quesadillas. I haven't had some delicious seafood some light, delicious seafood in so long. I always get sushi when I'm back. Stick with the food theme. Very specific. Did you ever get pizza in Manchester, Connecticut from Frank Pepe's? This is something I talked about in the Hartford show. I was told before I went to Connecticut that they had the best pizza. And then I asked about it on stage. People gave me some recommendations. I went and got it right after the show, baby. Spent $55 on a large pizza for myself. Ate the whole thing. God damn, was it delicious. I got sausage, pepperonis, onions, mushrooms, and olives. Bro, they put whole olives on there with no pits, full olives. Ooh. Yeah, Connecticut pizza's no joke. That shit was so good. Favorite airport? Tough one. I would say Salt Lake City. It was the quietest airport. Anthony and I were like, bro, why is it so quiet? That whole city was actually quiet. And you could take a train. You literally walk out of the terminal, no shuttle, out of the terminal, out the door. There's a train right there that you get right on for like $5, and you take it right downtown to the city. It takes you 10 minutes. That was crazy. Any sort of public transportation that's usable in that type of way from an airport, Denver's a similar way. But I don't. Oh, people said favorite airport and least favorite airport. For least favorite airport, I may have to say Denver because it is so goddamn terrifying flying in and out of that place. The turbulence is insane. Me and Kaylee leaving Denver to go back home after my show was the scariest flight I've ever taken. Oh my God, it was terrifying. I was like kissing the ground at home when I got home. It was that scary. So much turbulence. Something about the altitude in the mountains. I mean, dude, it was just, people were kind of doing the yelping, the whoa, whoa. It was, and they weren't having sex either. That was from being scared. It was, and the flight attendant is probably so used to it. He was literally reading, "Thanks for flying to American Airlines. Today we're serving complimentary soft drinks," and we're like, I'm like gripping onto her thigh so hard, like I'm practically breaking the skin. That shit was scary. And also the Atlanta airport, because that airport's too big. It's like 3 towns. Too big. What town surprised you? Royal Oak, Michigan. Love that place. I loved that place. Where I stayed, man, it was just this beautiful, quaint little downtown. Didn't know what to expect. Thought it could be in the middle of nowhere. Absolutely loved it. Not to mention, it's the most tickets I sold on the tour. Sold 900 tickets there. Shout out. I just love that city. The weather was beautiful. Great little coffee shops, great food places, and everything in walking distance. Loved it. Really want to go back. What scared you the most as this was your first tour? Not selling out, upfront costs, not selling tickets for sure. That was the scariest part. Because, again, what I said earlier, it's like you have all these followers, but you don't know what that means. Do these people actually want to come see me live, or do they just want to, they hit the follow button and they forgot about it? Upfront costs, I'm used to, because as an opener for many years, you still have to pay for the travel. Sometimes I have to pay for my own, stay. So it was, upfront costs are all part of it. And, especially as I worked into those smaller markets, it got to be very unpredictable, where I didn't know how many tickets I was going to sell. I was used to selling a certain amount, but when it got, to these more remote places, I was like, I have no idea. So that was tough. So that's when it got a little scary, especially when my agent was booking them, because now I was on the hook to do well, essentially, to prove myself. And also I was just responsible for my income, her income, the club's income. That was a little bit scary, that transition. What did you learn this time around? Well, this is the last question. What did you learn this time around that you'll do differently planning the next tour? You know what's crazy? Like, not much. I'm very happy with how it was planned. Planning-wise, everything worked out great. I'm very thought out with everything I do. I don't just do shit and not think about the consequences. Every decision I make, I think about the end result. Went to cold places in the summer, went to warm places in the winter, and I went to every city I wanted to hit. Almost every city I wanted to hit. So planning-wise, I feel great about it. I probably could have done 1 or 2 more cities, but, feel good about it. Things that I can, learned and want to, get better, do more of next year, for example, like when I'm staying in a city for a long time, for a couple of days, always have a rental car. Having a car is great. Ubers add up. They're very expensive. And just having the freedom to be able to like drive to a coffee shop or drive somewhere. Like Atlanta was a bajillion degrees. Didn't have a car. It was 20-minute walking in 150 degrees. It was horrible. So things like that. Learned that I really like having a camera on stage next to me to film the crowd reactions. I've used that in many clips. I'm not the person that started doing that, but I love that has been working, and I will continue to do that, as well as try to plug a microphone into the soundboard to try to capture the sound from the microphone audio as well. So just things that I learned where the quality of the clips will get better. I think just learning that on the road and continuing to do that next year and continuing to increase the quality of everything I'm putting out. Oh, and also just continue to prioritize sleep. And maybe not smoke as much weed. That'd be nice. So here's the last thing I'll say. Here's a little bit of kind of reflections of my own. By the way, thank you guys for submitting those questions. They were awesome. Love it. Appreciate you guys. Just some reflections about, the success and the my own future. It's funny. I almost needed to have the tour end to be able to reflect on where I'm at. And I started to feel this very immense sense of gratitude. And I love where I'm at. I think this whole year I felt like I was chasing like crazy levels of success. And once everything was said and done, seeing how everything went, like I'm so happy where I'm at. I don't feel this anxiety, this impatience for more success, more money, more ticket sales, more fans. I love where I'm at. And also, throughout this year, I've seen people who have huge success, big comics that you guys know. I've been in the same room as them, and some of them aren't happy. So seeing that the people that I'm trying to get to a similar point as, seeing that they're not happy, any happier being there, was super interesting and valuable. This isn't going to take away my hunger and my desire to be able to go to a city and sell it out. That's still the plan. But not feeling that type of anxiety of, I need to be bigger. I need to be bigger and bigger and more and more. I'm like, no. Because clearly when you get there, it doesn't make you happy. More money, more problems? Could be a real thing. But in general, but I also don't think I would feel that if I was going to cities and I was selling 40 tickets. I can go to a city and sell a lot of tickets. And so that's why I feel like I'm in such a good place where I have this fan base that loves me, and they come out in every city. So it's like, I'm happy. If this is all I ever got to be, that's amazing. I did it. I set out to be a stand-up comedian, and 9 years later, I am a working headlining touring comic. People line up to meet me. What? Me? That's crazy. You guys probably are thinking like, yeah, no shit, but I'm like, bro, I've been me this whole time. It's weird, but it's amazing. I just love where I'm at, man. Even the podcast, only a couple hundred people listen to this. That's fine. I'm not like, oh, I need bigger and bigger and more people, more clips, viral clips. I'm like, it's fine. I'm putting out what I want to put out. I'm being my authentic self. People gravitating to it. Great. I can still go to Boston and sell 700 tickets and have a little, indie, in the weeds podcast that I like to do. I think I like that feeling. I've honestly never, when I was kind of reflecting and everything was said and done, I've never felt more confident and sure of myself than now. Even just like being off the road and for the last month or so working on new material, I'm like loving the shit I'm doing right now. I'm writing more than I ever have. The new jokes are working more than the new jokes have worked in the past. I'm just in this flow, man. And I really, again, like I said, I think I had to remove myself from touring to really sit back and reflect on my accomplishments and everything this year was. It's tough to do it in the midst of the craziness and the pressure of the year. So now I'm just sitting back, developing, sharpening material. And when I go back on the road, I'm going to be that much better. Before I leave, I just want to give a couple shout outs to 3 people that that really made the tour possible, and I couldn't have done it without them. Obviously, we'll add my agent. Shout out to her. Her name's Danielle. She took me on and just gave me everything I wanted for the second half of the year, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. Especially being with WME, William Morris is the agency that I dreamed about being with. So the fact that I'm there also is just an absolute dream come true, and I still get happy about it. 3 people I want to shout out. Number 1, my boy Anthony Sturriddy. He was opening for me and rocking with me since literally the first show of the tour. He probably went to like 30 cities with me. He's seen me at crazy highs, crazy lows, and has stayed cool, calm, and collected every step of the way. You know, like this motherfucker will literally jump on a plane to whenever I need someone, to wherever, and not even think about complaining. And watching him grow, he's a bit of a newer comic. I probably started being taken him when he was 3-4 years in, and just watching him grow as a comic has been a real treat to watch. Nolan Culver, my other buddy who's open for me, just for being one of the best buds I've ever had. He makes me laugh so goddamn hard on and off stage, and he will literally spend hours with me, like selflessly brainstorming ideas for my own career growth and how I can blow this thing up. He won't even think about like, hey, all right, can we talk about me now? What about my career? He'll just sit there and be like, yeah, man, let's figure out how to get this bigger for you. It means so much, man. And, that dude's positivity and outlook on life has like saved me in so many moments, man. So I'm really grateful for this dude. And most of all, I got to shout out Kaylee, the love of my life and my rock. Literally couldn't have done this year without her. She had to put up with me being gone every other week, coming home, just being a wreck, being stressed while I'm at home about ticket sales, things like that. And I've never met someone so loving and so supportive. And I literally, again, couldn't have made it through this without her by my side. I'm just very grateful for her. And I'm grateful for you guys, man. I've said this many times, but I couldn't have done this tour without you guys. I've never been on a big thing. It's only from you guys watching my stand-up clips. So really, like, we did this whole thing together. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. And, we built something so special, and I can't wait to just keep it going and blow it up. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for going on this ride with me. I'll be back next week for a whole new podcast talking about what I've been up to the last, week or two, working on new material. So excited to report back to you guys. Thank you again, and have a great rest of the week. Happy New Year. I'll see you next week.